When you take cover in your inner refuge, you must not go outside until it is absolutely safe. And if the fallout is heavy, you may be in your refuge for quite a long time. Although the danger from fallout will get less and less as time goes by, you will never be able to judge for yourself how bad it is. Advice will be given to you on the radio, so keep listening. This advice over the radio and other instructions and news will be very important to you while you're cut off from the people living around you. So make sure your radio is in good working order. And if you have a spare radio, keep it in your fallout room. Radios must be battery operated because your electricity may be cut off. So be sure to get some spare batteries.
Go.
Welcome to episode 3, Shortwave fans. I'm Webweasel, your host, and once again joined by my comrades, Danix. Say hi, Danix.
Welcome back.
And presented in 4D.
Hey, yo.
Sorry for the lateness of the show, everybody. We've all got busy lives. I've been off to Sands in London training, presented in 4D's a Minecraft addict.
Wow.
And we all live in different time zones, so we're a few hours apart, and getting together to record can be a bit difficult sometimes. Once again, thanks for the great feedback. At this point, we've had over 500 episodes of the second show.
Listens of the second episode.
Yep. We've got great comments on IRC, great comments on the forum. We've had a couple of emails to the email address saying what great job we're doing. Thank you very much, everybody. We really, really appreciate it. Keeps us inspired to keep going on, keep producing the podcast for you. Okay, coming up in tonight's show, we've got coverage of activity over the last few weeks, what's been going on with UVB. Presented in 4D has a nice little piece on some research he's been doing with numbers and oddities and why the call sign may have changed. We've been looking at the messages and noted something interesting. We've got some recordings of the Conet project and some early day stuff from UVB. We've got a bit on why we hate Wikipedia. We've been talking to Wired. And we've been talking to Commander Bunny from WBNY. We'll talk about that later. Danix has a piece on the proper pronunciation of the Russian phonetic alphabet, so we can all better understand the pronunciations of the numbers and letters. So transcribing will be easier for all of us who are listening. Okay, starting part 1, coverage of the last month. It's been busy in the world over the last few weeks. North Korea has been getting up to its old tricks. WikiLeaks has been stirring up the media, and there's been a lot of fun for us sitting back and watching. UVB has been pretty steady. Regular messages, not anything particularly special, no days of freakiness like we had last time.
Aside from one case, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the buzz has been pretty regular. It's been up and down though. We've been noticing periods of very low power and periods of very high power. And particularly in the last couple of weeks, there have been particular outages about 6 a.m. It seems during that period they might have moved their maintenance window that was discussed in various forums as being occurring at 7 a.m. during the early 2000s when UVB was monitoring then. It appears to have come back because all through September and October, UVB didn't have this outage period early morning. That's returned, so we've been noting that. During the days, we've had great big strong bursts from UVB where the buzzer has been very powerful and it's been overpowering later repeater. It's very noticeable with the static it causes when it's broadcasting very strongly. We've also been noticing periods of very, very weak buzzer, but where the buzzer itself is actually on a weak mode, and you have a sudden switch where the buzz goes from quiet to strong. All of a sudden, so we can be very sure that it's the Russians playing with the transmitter rather than propagation effects or anything else causing the buzzer to be weakly received.
And actually, I was told in an email that some new direction finding has shown that the buzzer has probably moved a little bit east. East from where it originally was. So probably northeast, probably north toward what is it now? It's St. Petersburg, but east.
Mm-hmm.
That was just something I got in an email.
Interesting. Yeah, because we're completely unsure of UVB's location, aren't we? I mean, we're having a lot of discussions about getting a set of triangulation aerials and us taking various coordinates from around Europe to see if we can reposition UVB. But with current propagation of effects over the North Pole, it being winter, it's going to make it particularly difficult for the Northern Hemisphere areas to get accurate readings at the moment because it's interfering a lot with UVB's reception. We've had standard messages, as always. There's been one particular day that's been interesting, which was December the 9th, and we had 5 messages in succession that day. Let's just find that. Yeah. Starting at 11 in the morning and going on till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we had 5 messages in quick succession. Very, very surprising. So something exceptional happened that day for UVB, or MDZHB as we should call it, but nothing was going on in the media. We had a good look at Russian media at the time, all the military activity we could possibly get information about, and nothing special at all. So, very curious about what happened that day. Okay, yeah, outages. Buzzer outages continued.
Not as ordinary.
Yeah, not as before. In our last podcast, we reported regular 2-hour windows where the buzzer was not available. As I mentioned earlier, we seem to have strong periods and weak periods now, which seem to be intentional. But one thing we have noticed is odd skips, where just the buzzer stops once. One buzz disappears. Some short instances of maybe 5 to 30 buzzer length gaps, but not that regular. Mostly we see odd skips. Very, very strange. Something else we've been seeing is military bleeding, or it sounds military. We've been noticing for the past 3 or 4 weeks that about once an hour or so, a military style speech comes over the channel, not being broadcast from UVB, but exactly on the same upper sideband frequency as UVB. There's 2 guys, a high voice guy and a low voice guy, and they seem to work on separate 12-hour shifts. I'm going to splice that in at this moment, so here you go. Here's the high voice and the low voice guy as examples of what to expect. If you hear this when you're listening to the stream, then you're listening to these guys' interference. It's not anything else.